Exposed. My daughter's $10 million win revealed a hidden truth that changed everything forever. On a crisp autumn morning in the sleepy town of Maplewood, a storm was brewing. News fluttered through the air like leaves in the wind. Emily Jones, the quiet, sweet girl who lived with her single mom, had won a staggering $10 million lottery jackpot. The headline screamed, "Lucky girl strikes gold." But behind the scenes, buried beneath layers of glittering excitement, lay a hidden story that would unravel everything Sarah Jones thought she knew about luck, dreams, and their lives. For years, Sarah, at 34, had worked herself to the bone. With 3 jobs cleaning offices by day, waitressing at the diner in the evenings, and folding laundry late into the night, she poured her heart into sculpting a future for her gifted daughter. Every spilled coffee during frantic study sessions, and every late-night chuckle while cramming for exams wove a tight bond between them. Emily, with her brilliant mind and golden heart, was her reason for pushing through the struggles. Sarah would have given anything for her daughter's happiness. And now, standing on the precipice of a life-altering moment, Sarah swelled with pride. Euphoria washed over her, but it also brought a pang of anxiety. She could see the envy in neighbors' eyes, hear the whispers echoing through town. Was Emily's good fortune a cruel twist of fate that could make them targets? Sarah's heart thumped like a jackhammer, torn between the excitement of a new life and the fear of what it meant for their world. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that is happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. As the initial euphoria began to fade, an unsettling storm brewed in their relationship. Emily had entered that lottery with a heavy heart, hoping to alleviate the financial strains crushing them both. She thought winning might liberate Sarah from the endless grind, but she hadn't anticipated how it would expose their fragile bond to judgment and skepticism. "I just wanted to help," Emily said one evening when Sarah's silence grew unbearable, the weight of unspoken fears hanging heavy like a dark cloud. Tears brimmed in her eyes. "I thought if I won, maybe we could finally dream a little bigger." Sarah's chest tightened. "But you didn't need to take that risk, Em. We were making it work." As they faced each other, a gulf of misunderstood intentions stretched between them. Their life-changing fortune quickly spiraled into an extraordinary dilemma. Maplewood had become a pulpit of resentment and admiration, splitting down the middle. Love, dreams, and integrity clashed like waves against a rocky shore. But just as they began to rekindle a plan to channel their newfound wealth towards local families in need, a hidden part of Sarah's past emerged like a ghost, casting shadows over their prize. As their story unfurled in the spotlight, would their bond withstand the fierce tides of judgment? In moments of laughter and unspeakable tension, the heartache of deep-seated truths loomed ever larger. Would Emily's integrity shine as a beacon, or would it merely expose the cracks that had always been there? The crisp autumn air had turned electric with rumors, and every corner of Maplewood buzzed with anticipation and apprehension. Sarah found it hard to breathe amidst the weight of Emily's win. They'd gone from barely scraping by to being the town's center of attention in a heartbeat. Days melted into each other as the shock of the lottery win blended with a sense of looming dread. Every morning, their small kitchen felt like the epicenter of a storm brewing just out of sight. Emily's excitement was infectious, yet Sarah's heart raced with worry. What if this windfall did more harm than good? One afternoon, as the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a golden hue over their modest home, Emily suggested they celebrate. "Mom, we can take that trip we always talked about, the one to the ocean." Her eyes sparkled with dreams painted in vibrant colors, blinding Sarah to the clouds gathering over them. But Sarah's response was a mere shake of her head, the corners of her mouth twisting downward. "We need to be responsible, Em. Let us think this through." Emily's expression shifted from joy to confusion. "But why not enjoy the moment? We deserve happiness." Sarah felt her heart shatter a little with every word. She wanted so badly to share in Emily's joy, but couldn't shake the dread. The lottery win might awaken the very demons she spent years trying to bury. As their arguments simmered, their small-town haven began to feel a little less like a home. The way people looked at them, some with admiration and others with envy, chipped away at Sarah's resolve. The whispers grew louder, with local social media lighting up with speculation about how they would spend the money. "Did you hear about the Joneses?" one neighbor would say with a smirk. "Must be nice to be rich overnight." The tension reached a boiling point one evening when Emily found an envelope on their doorstep, an anonymous letter filled with accusations. "You think you're better than us now? Money can't buy happiness," it read. Emily crumpled it in her hand, her face pale. "Mom, this isn't fair." She felt the sting of betrayal, not just from the townsfolk, but from the unspoken feelings trapped between them. "No, it's not," Sarah snapped defensively. "But we can't let it change who we are." The argument hung in the air like a thick fog, straining the already fragile fabric of their relationship. Underneath, buried in the chaos, lay Sarah's own secrets. The past she had tried so hard to keep hidden was a swirling tempest just waiting to surface. She had known, long before the jackpot shattered their lives, that luck could wear many masks. Days later, Sarah found herself combing through old boxes in the attic, searching for something that could provide clarity amidst the chaos. Flipping through newspaper clippings, she stumbled upon pictures that told stories she had tried to outrun. Memories of shame flooded back, tinged with regret. It wasn't just their future at stake. It was her past that wanted to claw its way back into the present. As she held a faded photograph of a younger version of herself, smiling with a different set of dreams, she knew it was time to confront the shadows of her past. With every heartbeat, the storm drew closer. Would the truth strengthen their bond, or push them further apart? And as she contemplated her next move, Sarah heard a knock at the door this time. It was real. Would it be the answer she needed, or just another reminder of everything they were struggling to hold together? The knock echoed in the small hallway, breaking the thick silence that had draped over Sarah like a heavy blanket. Time seemed to pause as her heart raced. Who could it be? As she made her way to the door, every step felt weighted with uncertainty. She hesitated, her hand hovering just above the doorknob. When she finally pulled the door open, two faces greeted her, a pair of local journalists, their expressions a mix of eagerness and caution. "Hello, ma'am," the taller one said, his voice smooth, professionally upbeat. "We're with the Maplewood Gazette. Mind if we ask you a few questions?" Something twisted in Sarah's stomach. The journalist's presence felt like a spotlight, ready to expose everything she feared. "Now isn't a good time," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. But just as she started to close the door, Emily appeared behind her. Curiosity etched across her face. "Mom, who is that?" "They're just visitors," Sarah replied, her gaze flickering back to the journalists, who exchanged glances, sensing the tension. "Actually, we're writing a story about how the lottery win is impacting the town," the second journalist chimed in, flashing a bright smile that felt more like a mask. "We'd love to hear your thoughts." "Yeah, come on, Mom. This is exciting." Emily pushed, stepping forward, excitement flickering in her eyes. With a heavy sigh, Sarah stepped aside. She didn't want to be rude, and she sensed Emily needed this moment to embrace the newfound attention. As the journalists entered, the atmosphere shifted. "What do you think about the celebration you had?" the first journalist asked, notebook poised. His eyes were hungry, ready to feed off whatever they would reveal. The day of the party surged back in her mind, the balloons, the laughter, the community gathering for what felt like a blessed event, yet the shadows loomed overhead. "It was nice," she managed, forcing a smile that felt unnatural. "We wanted to share joy, not just the money." "Do you think the community will see it that way?" the second journalist pushed, eyebrows raised. "Some people are very supportive, and others, well, it seems not everyone is happy about our good fortune," Sarah admitted, glancing sideways at Emily, who appeared torn between pride and embarrassment. "How does it feel to go from struggle to success overnight?" Sarah blinked, her heart racing anew. The question felt like a stab, her deep fears bubbling to the surface. "We're still the same people. Money doesn't define us or change our values," she faltered, feeling the weight of the past pressing in, the shadows whispering of truths she wasn't ready to share. Emily interjected, "But it could change everything. We can help people now. Her enthusiasm bounced back into the room, filling the cracks Sarah had been feeling. Is that what success means to you? One journalist leaned in closer, sensing a deeper story beneath their surface. Before Sarah could respond, a commotion outside drew their attention. Neighbors gathering around, murmuring loudly. The half-finished conversation churned in the air before Sarah's instincts pulled her toward the window. Outside, a crowd was forming, and she could see old friends, familiar faces twisted with confusion, some pointing. Her heart sank. What now, Mom? Emily's voice was a quiet thread of anxiety. What is happening? The journalists, sensing a buzz in the air, tapped their pens excitedly against their notebooks, eager for more drama. Sarah turned to Emily, her own heart heavy with dread. I don't know, but let us go see. As they stepped outside, the crowd hushed, eyes turning toward them in a mix of anticipation and judgment. What awaited them at the center of all this? Would this be another moment of connection, or was it time for the past, and maybe even the truth, to finally come crashing down? The air felt thick as they stepped into the open, the familiar scent of freshly cut grass mingling with the anxiety that clung to Sarah's skin. People were gathered, their expressions a strange blend of disbelief and curiosity. She could hear whispers floating through the crowd. Is it true? Did they really win the lottery? What is this all about? Emily clutched her mother's hand tightly, her excitement evaporating under the weight of uncertainty. Sarah's heart quickened again as she scanned the sea of familiar faces, searching for any hint of what was happening. As they pushed through the gathered group, the murmurs began to form a clearer picture. A banner draped across Frank's old workshop read, "Welcome back, Sarah." The clamor shifted into a cheer, a spontaneous eruption of warmth that momentarily eased Sarah's anxiety. It felt like a homecoming, yet something about it didn't sit right. Mom, they're celebrating you, Emily exclaimed, her eyes wide with joy. But as Sarah stepped closer, she noticed the nervous glances exchanged among the crowd. This wasn't just celebration. It felt like a moment laced with expectations, maybe even pressure. Frank stood at the front, waving and hollering her name, as if she were a returning hero. Everyone's here to celebrate your win. It's amazing, he shouted, his grin widening. Thank you, Sarah managed, her throat tightening. She could feel the weight of her past settling back on her shoulders. Had she really become a topic of such power, that her neighbors were rallying around her like she held the answer to all their own dreams? She loved them all, she really did, but would they still feel this way if they knew the truth? As she drew closer into the fold of her friends and neighbors, she caught snippets of their conversations. Some sang praises while others hinted at envy hidden beneath their words. I hope she'll remember us, someone said softly, just loud enough for Sarah to hear. Come on up, Sarah, give us a speech. Frank beckoned, gesturing for her to join him at the small makeshift podium. The last thing she felt equipped for was public speaking. All eyes were on her, their expectations glimmering like the bright sunlight overhead. Maybe just a quick hello? Sarah said, her voice barely rising above the crowd. No, you have to say something, Emily urged, her hope radiating. Sarah's insides twisted. She looked at her daughter, who wore her excitement like a badge. Did Emily really think they could handle any more scrutiny after everything they had just been through? With a deep breath, Sarah stepped forward, feeling the weight of the moment. She searched for words. Hi everyone. Thank you for being here. This is overwhelming. The crowd watched with rapt attention. We really just wanted to be a part of this community. The money is nice, but what really matters is how we can help each other at that moment. She caught sight of a woman stepping forward from the crowd, her expression fierce. It was Margaret, a neighbor who had never hesitated to voice her opinions. The air crackled with tension as Margaret raised her hand. What about those who didn't win? She called out, her tone sharp. What if we need help too? The crowd shifted, a ripple of unease washing over them. Sarah felt her heart thud painfully in her chest. The reality of the situation crashed back down on her. Lines were being drawn. Not everyone was happy about their fortune. With emotions rising in her throat, she squinted against the sun, searching for the right response. I want to help. We all want to help, but how? Before Sarah could formulate a plan, the crowd erupted into a mix of shouts, some supportive, others accusatory. Everyone's gaze was locked onto her, creating a pressure that felt unbearable. Emily squeezed her hand tighter, her confusion reflecting in her eyes. Mom, what do we do? In that moment, the stakes were clear. With emotions running high, the joy of a new beginning threatened to crumble under the weight of truth and the obligations that came with it. As Sarah struggled to find her voice, amidst rising tensions, she knew one thing. This wasn't just about celebration anymore. A deeper reckoning loomed, and they were all caught in its grip. What would happen next? Would they be able to come together as one community, or would jealousy fracture their bonds beyond repair? The answers hung in the air, heavy and unspoken. The noise in the air was almost suffocating. As Sarah felt Emily's small hand tight around hers, she realized just how unprepared she was for this moment. The cheers faded into a dull roar as her mind raced. People were leaning in, their faces a mix of encouragement and distress. It felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, everyone waiting to see if she would leap or fall. Sarah, Frank called again, his voice booming with authority. You need to respond. They came here for you. His enthusiasm felt like an anchor, pulling her deeper into the spotlight. Taking a shaky breath, Sarah forced a smile, trying to echo the warmth she saw in Frank's eyes, but she felt hollow inside. It's just been a lot for us, she stammered, the words almost slipping from her control. We have plans, dreams just like you all do. I just want to figure out how we can support each other. Margaret's eyes narrowed, her arms crossed defiantly. Easy for you to say, with your newfound fortune. What about us? What about those who need a hand right now? Her voice cut through the noise, pulling the crowd's attention back toward her. Sarah felt stung by the accusation, a heat rising in her cheeks. She had thought winning would change everything for the better, but now it felt like a barrier separating her from the very people she wanted to help. Panic coursed through her veins, a feeling she hadn't experienced since the day she found out about the lottery. Margaret, she began, but the words wouldn't come. The whispers of the crowd grew louder as people shared anxious looks. Maybe it's right, someone said from the back. How do we know she'll be there for us? That broke something in Sarah. I want to be there for you, she shouted, her voice breaking through the whispers. She took a step forward, confidence swelling as desperation drove her. But I don't know how. I need your voices too. We have to talk about this together. Frank nodded, trying to regain the crowd's focus. Let us hear her out. No one said this wasn't a community effort. But Margaret was relentless. And what if you decide to forget us once the money runs out? You're just one lucky woman. The crowd echoed her thoughts, nodding as if she had spoken the truth. Emily squeezed Sarah's hand tighter. Mom, are we in trouble? The worry in her voice sent a shudder through Sarah. Not if we talk this through, Sarah answered, threading her fingers through her daughter's hair as if to shield her from the harshness in the air. Frank stepped forward again. Let us organize a meeting, right here. Sarah can share her plans, and we can figure out how to move forward together. But there wasn't a sense of unity in the crowd. Instead, it felt like a proposal of war. The division was palpable. Sarah's heart sank. She turned to face the group again, desperation blending with determination. I promise I won't forget you, I just need support too. No one wins alone. Then, as though summoned by her words, the sound of a child's laughter suddenly pierced through the tension. It was small and sweet, utterly out of place. The laughter belonged to Lucy, the youngest child in the neighborhood, playing with a ball at the back of the gathering. Everyone momentarily paused, turning their heads to watch as she bounced the ball with blissful innocence. In that moment, the frantic emotions swirling around Sarah froze. A vision flared bright in her mind. A community that wasn't just about winning, but about supporting each other through hardships and joy alike. Maybe Lucy is right, Sarah said softly, her voice a whisper almost lost in the crowd. I just want to create a loving space for all our kids, for all of us, where we can lean on one another. The crowd was silent now, digesting her words as a flicker of something filled the air, perhaps hope. Yet Margaret's piercing gaze remained. And what will happen when the spark fades? When the money doesn't solve our problems anymore? Sarah's thoughts spiraled. This was only the beginning. Could a simple idea transform this fracture into something stronger? The silence hung heavily, weighty, with expectations. The echo of Lucy's laughter lingered, but uncertainty resumed its grip. What would it take to bridge the gap? Could they find a way to share their burdens, or would fear and jealousy tower over them like a storm cloud? As everyone waited for her next move, the air grew denser, thick with possibility, and Sarah knew she had to find a way through. But how? Okay. Then Sarah's voice trembled slightly as she searched the crowd for familiar faces, hoping to draw on their expressions for reassurance. She squinted against the fading sunlight. If only someone would give her a sign that this was meant to be, that they could pull together instead of tearing apart. Let us try a different approach, she said, her thoughts racing. What if we each shared our worries, our needs? We could start a true dialogue right here, right now. More whispers rippled through the crowd, mingling with the hesitant nods. But Margaret scoffed, her arms still crossed. Dialogue? That sounds nice, but we need action, not talk. What do we really have to lose by starting with our voices? Frank interjected, shifting the energy just enough to draw more attention. We can hear Sarah out first, and tomorrow, we can brainstorm concrete steps to take together. A slow realization dawned on Sarah. You're right, Margaret. Action is what we all crave. She inhaled deeply, determination swelling. So let us act. My plan. It begins with understanding. Tell me, what do you need the most from me? I'm here. I want to hear you. For a long, agonizing moment, silence reigned again, and Sarah's heart raced. She could feel Emily's soft hand trembling in hers. In this critical moment, Sarah envisioned Lucy's bright smile and knew a connection existed in their innocence, something pure that could unite them. Then, to Sarah's surprise, a voice broke through the murmur. It was Jason, a local farmer who had known Sarah since childhood. You think money solves everything? I've been here longer than you've had your lucky streak. I've watched my fields wither. I've lost more than just crops. It's hope that we need, and it has to come from somewhere deep within. Can you help us find it? Yes, she replied passionately, eager to meet him halfway. Let us dig deep together. I may not have answers, but what I have is the desire to support this community. I know we can lean on each other, not just financially, but emotionally. As she spoke, Sarah realized she was finding her footing. She thought of the people gathered here, their lives intertwined like the roots of a tree. It wasn't about winning the lottery. It was about digging into their shared experiences, the joy and struggles that came with each season. Gradually, one by one, others began to share. A single mother lamented the challenges of raising her children alone. An elderly man voiced his worries about affording medicine. Each vulnerability brought another layer of connection, and Sarah could feel the tension begin to lift. It filled the air, swirling like the autumn leaves against the setting sun. But just as hope began to build, the tension returned. A voice from the crowd, someone Sarah hadn't noticed before, raised a question that struck like a thunderclap. What are you going to do when this money runs out? Can you guarantee our futures? Suddenly, her heart sank again. This was the fear that nested in their hearts, the doubt that threatened to overshadow each moment of unity. What if, indeed, the money became a curse instead of a blessing? With uncertainty tightening her chest, Sarah looked straight into the faces surrounding her. I can't promise you tomorrow or the endless resources we each want, she said slowly. But I can promise my efforts towards ensuring our community may thrive beyond wealth. I'm committed to helping you not just now, but for years to come. A ripple of murmurs followed, some hopeful, others skeptical. But as she scanned the crowd, she saw a flicker of trust emerging in a few eyes. It wasn't everything, but it was a start. As the call for a follow-up meeting emerged from the crowd, the air buzzed with a tentative sense of community. But the question hung there like an uninvited guest. How could they preserve that trust as the ground shifted? Once more, Sarah felt the weight of vulnerability press up against her. Could she really weave these lives into a strong fabric that could withstand the storms yet to come? Desperation rumbled inside her, like a storm gathering. Strength. Everyone was looking at her, waiting. Could she truly transform a moment of doubt into the beacon of hope they so desperately needed? This could be a pivotal moment, but what would it reveal about her journey and the bonds they would forge? Would they step forward together, or would fear pull them apart again? The murmurs swelled and wrapped around Sarah like an unwanted embrace, the weight of uncertainty pressing down harder. She felt Emily's hand squeeze hers tighter, a fragile anchor in a storm of emotion. It was more than anyone could bear to admit, but doubt loitered in the corners. Was this gathering merely a candle flickering in a windstorm? We need to face this head-on, Sarah said, her voice steadier now. Your questions matter. They deserve answers, even if they're not easy ones. Jason stepped forward again, his brow furrowed with worry. A promise is only as good as the actions that back it. We've seen hope wither before. How do we trust that this is real? The crowd shifted, their eyes searching for the spark of confidence they craved from her. Every wary glance felt like 100 weights piled upon her shoulders, and that feeling of wanting desperately to shield them from despair pulsed at her core. I might not hold the key to every door, Sarah replied, a flicker of defiance drawing strength from within. But when I think of us all, when I see Lucy playing in the park, laughter bubbling up from her tiny frame, that's why I'm here. To fight for that kind of future. Frank nodded, leaning against the wooden fence of the town hall. We need a plan, a real plan. One that speaks to our hearts. I say we start a community garden. It'll bring us together, teach us resilience, and we can share what we grow. His suggestion hung in the air, a seed of possibility. The crowd shifted again, a hint of enthusiasm sparked in their eyes. Margaret, arms still crossed but mind racing, added a garden? Who'll take care of it? Winter's coming fast, and we have bigger issues to tackle. But Martha, the single mother, stood up with an unexpected brightness. We could create a work shift. While some are planting, others can build food drives, share skills. It's not just the produce, it's the neighbors coming together. Sarah felt it a shift in the energy as voices began to rise in joyful debate. Where there had been doubt, now ideas took root like wildflowers fighting through concrete. Faces transformed, expressions shifted from dread to the glimmers of hope. The storm that had once loomed overhead now seemed to part, revealing a miracle of light. Yet, amidst the cheer, Jason caught her eye, the shadow of caution lingering. But what when we had obstacles? We can't ignore the reality we face, the rising costs. The community division. His voice trailed off, but the weight of his words hung like thick fog in the balmy air. Just then, amid the renewed fervor, a loud crash sent a shiver through the crowd. They turned as a figure stumbled into the lamplight, breathless and flushed. It was Lucy, Sarah's daughter, her miniature frame clumsily carrying a hastily wrapped package. "Mama," she called, eyes bright with excitement. "Look what I found." The community's laughter bubbled up, dispelling some of the lingering tension. Sarah knelt as Lucy dropped the package into her hands, revealing an old wooden box. "What in the world?" Sarah murmured, her heart racing. The box was heavy, its wood worn, but it vibrated with mystery. Lucy's innocent glee tickled at her mother's apprehension. "Can we open it? Can we see what's inside?" As Sarah pried the lid open, everyone leaned closer, curiosity washing over them like a wave. Was this the very breakthrough they needed, or could this treasure inadvertently change everything? The air was electric, each heartbeat echoing loud with anticipation and fear. What revelation awaited them in that box, hidden from view but pulsing with promise? All eyes were fixed intently on Sarah as she lifted out an item. Would it be the key to their hopeful transformation, or a complication they never saw coming? As the lid creaked open, the community drew in a collective breath. What lay inside was not just any object. It was a carefully folded piece of parchment, yellowed with age, and wrapped around what looked like a glass vial filled with a peculiar liquid. "What is it, Mama?" Lucy asked, her eyes wide, brimming with innocence and curiosity. Sarah held the parchment delicately, afraid that the weight of history would slip right through her fingers. She could feel the crowd's anticipation thrumming in the air, as palpable as the vibrations of an electric current. It was unnerving, that shared energy, and yet also exhilarating. She unfurled the parchment, revealing elegant handwriting that traveled across the page like whispers from the past. The letters blurred together, but the words came through clearly enough. "To whoever finds this, you hold the promise of hope." "What kind of hope?" Jason murmured, his voice almost drowned out by the nearby murmurs. Staring intently at the vial, Sarah thought about the warmth of sun on earth, like a promise of spring amid winter's chill. Was this the answer to their struggles? Or was it merely an old relic with no power at all? With a shaky breath, she glanced at Lucy, who was bouncing on her heels, filled with the unfiltered excitement of a child. In that moment, Sarah felt an avalanche of emotion. How many times had she wished for guidance, a sign that they were on the right path? Was this an omen meant just for them, a little spark of magic in their mundane lives? As Sarah boldly turned the vial in her hand, she caught glimpses of skepticism in the crowd. They were hungry for something real, something tangible. But as the sunlight caught the vial's colorful contents, it shone like a beacon, urging her to believe. What if it's just something silly? Margaret challenged, moving a little closer, her tone drifting between hopeful and doubtful. What if it doesn't mean anything? But before anyone could voice another word, a low rumble of thunder echoed in the distance, an unexpected reminder of the storm looming outside their little community. The world beyond their gathering felt chaotic, fraught with uncertainty, and yet here they were, suspended in this moment of fragile possibility. "I think we have to give it a shot," Martha said, her voice slicing through the tension. "If it's a chance to make things better, to pull together as a community." "Yeah," Lucy exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. "We can make magic with it." They all laughed, the sound breaking tension like a bubble popping in the air. That sweetness wrapped around Sarah, pulling her back to the life before this chaos had taken hold. She envisioned Lucy's laughter echoing in the air long after their meeting had ended. "What if this could really change things?" Sarah asked, her voice filled with a rare mixture of hope and fear. "What if this vial represents a new beginning for all of us?" Excited chatter broke out again, ideas buzzing in the air like bees in a blooming garden. They could host a festival, sell the produce from their garden, build a community center, whatever it was, whatever they decided. This moment felt new and ripe with promise. But as the energy surged, Jason's gaze remained steady, and his voice cut through the excitement. "But what if we're putting weight on something that doesn't exist?" he said, his tone becoming serious. Sarah's heart sank at the thought, just as the wind whipped through the gathering, the clouds above building heavier. She sensed a storm brewing not just in the sky, but within their hearts as well. With a determined tilt of her chin, Sarah declared, "We'll find out together." As she held the vial aloft, the crowd fell into contemplative silence, the weight of the unknown settling like dust. What transformation awaited them if they embraced the mystery held in that vial? Could it bridge the divide that loomed among them, or would it unravel what they had begun to build? The answers hovered just out of reach, like the storm clouds overhead ready to break. The storm rolled in faster than anyone anticipated. The first drops of rain fell like the universe's way of reminding them that nature was just as unpredictable as their hopes for the vial. Thunder growled, a deep rumble that seemed to resonate with the confusion swirling through Sarah's mind. She tightened her grip on the vial, feeling the smooth glass against her palm, grounding her in a world that felt increasingly chaotic. What was inside it? Was it merely colored water, an old wives' tale, or something capable of peeling back the layers of their hardships? "Sarah?" Martha's voice broke through her thoughts. "What do we do now?" They stood at a crossroads between belief and cynicism, past burdens and possible futures. She looked around, each face around her reflecting layers of doubt and desperation. Her heart ached to bring them together, to embody the very hope the parchment promised, but doubt gnawed at her. "We can't just ignore it. Not after all we've been through," Jason said, stepping forward. His brow was furrowed, an urgency in his eyes. "Let us open it. If it's nothing, at least we'll know we acted. If it's something, well, we can figure that out together." Sarah could sense the shift in the air, palpable and electric. Whispers began to dance among the group. Each person challenged their skepticism, wondering what the truths behind this moment could be. "What if it's dangerous?" Margaret interjected, a chill creeping into her voice. But Lucy, glowing with resilience only a child could muster, piped up. "It's just like when we go on adventures. We can't be scared of what's out there." The child's words wrapped around Sarah's heart like a warm blanket, urging her to draw on the courage she had almost lost track of. The storm heightened around them, but inside, a different kind of storm brewed. She could feel the energy shifting. They were more than a gathering now. They were a movement towards something greater. As she looked at each familiar face, she felt the tie that bound them together. They weren't just neighbors, they were family. The idea of confronting their fears collectively felt like a warm flame flickering into life. Taking a deep breath, Sarah nodded. "All right, let us do it." The crowd moved closer, eyes glued to her. She carefully unwrapped the parchment, revealing the vial fully once more. The sunlight still peeked through the clouds, casting a soft glow, inviting them to take that leap of faith. On the count of 3, Sarah started, her excitement tinged with nervousness. 1, 2, 3. With that, she popped the cork off the vial. An unexpected whoosh of colorful mist surged into the air like confetti exploding at a celebration. Gasps mingled with laughter, and a wild surge of emotions swept through them. But as the vibrant cloud dispersed, painting the air with swirls of color, a sudden silence fell over the group. Sarah's heart raced as she took a step back. What just? Then it hit. A rippling wave of energy surged from the vial, jolting through them like electricity, sending a shiver down their spines. The crowd stood frozen, shocked and wide-eyed. Was it real? Did they unleash something extraordinary? Or had they opened a door they were unprepared for? Before anyone could grasp what to think, a blinding flash illuminated the sky and thunder cracked, louder than before. What awaited them next, caught in the crosshairs of magic and reality, left Sarah wondering if the path they chose would be a journey of redemption or ruin. Was their leap of faith going to build bridges or create deeper divides? The storm erupted, wind howling through the trees as if echoing their fears. Thunder rumbled angrily overhead, and the once tight-knit community now felt the full weight of uncertainty confronting them. But amidst the chaos, something extraordinary began to unfold. The colorful mist hung in the air like a delicate veil, dancing like fireflies as it settled on the gathering. Sarah watched as smiles started to break across some faces, uncertainty mingling with wonder. Is it real? Margaret whispered, her arms unfolding from her chest. Yes, feel it, Emily shouted, eyes sparkling brighter than the stormy sky above. The crowd hesitated, but slowly individuals stepped forward, reaching out to touch the shimmering cloud. Jason grinned, his skepticism melting away as he breathed in the magic permeating the air. This could be something beyond us. The storm outside roared, but inside their hearts, hope began to take root. People began to share laughter, voices rising over the thunder, celebrating the unknown. A realization washed over Sarah. This was not just about the lottery money or her hidden past, it was about uniting as a community. Together, Sarah called, her voice rising above the clamor. This can be a new beginning for all of us. Let us not just use this windfall for ourselves, let us create, build, and ensure our community thrives beyond this moment. Her conviction ignited enthusiasm. Can we use this energy? This magic? We can start that community garden. Host an event. Yes, let us bring everyone together. Betty, the elderly woman from down the street, exclaimed. This could help our kids, our neighbors. As if propelled by a collective spirit, ideas blossomed. They envisioned community events, art projects, shared workshops, a boundless potential extending far beyond what any of them could have managed alone. But just then, lightning cracked again above, brightening the sky and plunging the crowd anew into silence. Until we face what lies ahead, we cannot decide what really matters, Jason said, voice steady, though uncertainty lingered. He took a step back from the group, eyes scanning their faces one by one, meeting Sarah's gaze. What if we open our hearts to one another, without fear? Let us share our burdens, the struggles we carry. Yes, clarity sparked within Sarah. An unpeeling truth lingered below the surface, waiting for recognition. Let us gather, each of us bringing our stories, our challenges. Together, we can make something more powerful. As hands began to rise, uncertainty switched to excitement. They were ready for this journey, ready to uncover the root of their worries so they could grow as a community. Now, who wants to start? Lucy gestured innocently, turning the embrace of shadows into light-hearted joy. I will. Martha jumped in, her determination shining brightly. I'm struggling to make ends meet, and my kids need stability. I want to share what I've learned about growing. I've got a family recipe for community pot pie. Laughter and cheers erupted, and one by one people began to unravel their stories, their doubts, feeding into one another's hopes. As voices harmonized, Sarah felt a powerful surge of unity. With every story shared, they chipped away at fear, building a vibrant thread that stitched them closer together. Soon enough, the storm outside became a distant memory, the thunder fading into a melody of laughter. Hours slipped by, But in those fleeting moments, something shifted eternally within the town of Maplewood as they settled under the stars. Sarah's heart felt lighter, her burdens shared among them, releasing the knots that had long held her back. With the glow of newfound connections shimmering around her, she turned to Emily, who was now beaming with radiance. "It's beautiful, I assenti it?" "Yeah, Mom," Emily said, eyes alight. "Look how strong we can be together." In that transformative night, they didn't find just the promise in the vial. They found the life-giving energy of community and love. As they embraced the challenges ahead, Sarah thought, perhaps luck had never been about the money. They had won. It was about their hearts, their voices intertwining, singing together like an irresistible chorus of change. With every laugh, every shared tear, the fabric of their town strengthened until hope became the most powerful magic of all. And just like that, Sarah realized their story had only begun. Their journey to unity had transformed the lottery win into something richer than gold, revealing the priceless truth. Hope is unbreakable when shared. Now, don't wait not even one more second. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that could touch your heart. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, because it makes a world of difference. Make sure you comment your reactions and feelings about this ending below. I want to hear how the story moved you. And please share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who also could use the inspiration of this transformation. Now is the moment to show your support.